I appreciate you joining me, and we have a wide-ranging conversation today. Let's start with Attorney General Merrick Garland. The House is voting on whether to hold Merrick Garland in contempt of Congress after he did not release the audio tapes between the interview with President Biden and Special Counsel Robert Hur. You're supporting holding him in contempt. Can you explain why?
Yeah, so actually there's two types of contempt of Congress, and I think that Garland ultimately has and should be held in contempt of both. So the first one that we're doing is what you're hearing a lot of chatter on, and that would be a referral to the Department of Justice. That's called criminal contempt. And ultimately, because not just one, but two subpoenas were sent by two different chairmen, one Chairman Jordan of House Judiciary, and then also to Chairman Comer of House Oversight, which is the committee that I sit on that leads some of these investigations. And Garland basically refused to respond to either of those and also kept the Hur tapes. And so really, if you're talking about the leader of one of the most powerful countries the world has ever known, that's the United States of America, in this case, Joe Biden, in all seriousness and all jokes aside, there are some serious concerns with members on both sides of the aisle that believe that he has some cognitive issues. And so when we are talking about what happened with that transcript, they're saying that we don't, as Congress, don't need to actually hear the audio recordings because they released a transcript. Well, how do we know that those aren't actually doctored? And as you saw, the reason why the Biden administration really wanted to glaze over that and really, I think, cover it up is because they had pointed out that there were some cognitive issues in that transcription. So we're talking about moving forward if this person can essentially control the country, be our ambassador to the world, and also to make some very important decisions. And it's become clear and evident to me that that might not be the case, which is exactly why we need those transcripts, audio, actual recordings to hear. And ultimately, Garland is not above the law. If it was any other American, that person would probably be in jail right now. But because he's the Attorney General, he seems to think that he does not have to answer to Congress. And that's exactly why, one, I support the current leadership's attempt to hold him in contempt of Congress, of which I do think will pass. But in the event that the Department of Justice does not do their job, I have filed something called inherent contempt of Congress. And what that is that something that is actually reserved. You could think of it kind of like an old form of magic that exists in the House of Representatives. This was commonly done up into the early 1900s. And what this allows is for Congress to be that punitive authority, even on other departments that might think that they are above the law. And so what that would do is allow Congress to hold Garland's in contempt of Congress in the event that the Department of Justice does not do their job. And that may involve sending the sergeant in arms to go get him and order him to the well of the House of Representatives and demand answers, which he should be if he's going to ignore us.